And we are live. Hello and welcome to Developer Insights. I'm David.
And I'm Justin.
And together we are the leads on game development and design here.
And we also founded Codename here.
I don't have to read that part. Anyway, we're going to be your hosts for this episode and for every episode.
Because when we're not here, the show doesn't happen.
That seems to have always been true.
Today is our 124th episode.
And hopefully not our last episode.
Wait, why would it be our last episode?
Oh, you know.
No, I don't know. Why would we not be able to do an episode next week?
Oh, I probably shouldn't have said anything. Never mind.
You're making me very nervous here, Dave.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. No.
I am now very worried about it.
No, it'll be okay. It's fine.
Okay. Today we are here to answer development and design questions about Idle Champions.
And if you don't ask any questions, however, you may have to suffer through Justin's one-man reenactment of... Actually, this week I've asked him to do Star Trek: The Next Generation episode, All Good Things.
All Good Things is the finale episode. What is going on here?
Nothing. No fretting.
I'm very fretty right now.
Well, you should be less fretty.
I'm very fretty.
Anyway, as always, we have pulled forward some questions from the previous show that we didn't get to, and we will answer some of those while we're waiting for new questions to come in. But before we get to those, I do have some updates. I says I have updates. I don't have updates. The update I have is that we have no updates.
That's a great update.
At items that have been flagged to get looked at by the dev team. Without any further stalling for time, we will get started with those items.
Those
that don't
what?
Exist.
Those items that you just said
we
don't
do
have?
Still have the bench builder on the in progress section. It is coming along really well. So well, in fact, that after reviewing it, we have changed the name to the champion search feature. And hopefully we won't change it again before it gets released. But currently it is coming up as champion search, but that's coming along really well. So I think that I don't have an exact release date on that, but that is the feature where we're letting you bring up all of your champions at once and build a bench from those and sort and filter through all of the available options so you can figure out what matches, what patrons you're doing, as well as being able to actually select for the current adventure you're on. And we're really excited to get that out, but
yes,
it is still in progress.
We don't know when it's going to come out, but it may be soon.
It's true. Pending another name change.
Yes.
All right. I don't have any announcements this week, so let's get into the questions left over from last week. First question of the day from last week. Wow, I'm doing it well today. I am on it. Is from Big Show B3. Question, for Events 2.0, when we start cycling events next year, do I have to select the same champions to get their buffs again, even if I completed their Tier 4 variants? Essentially, will I have to prioritize picking the same champions over and over again, or will I be able to pick new ones to complete their tiers as well?
Yeah, so the plan right now is that you only get the buffs for champions that you pick or have unlocked in that year. So if you complete a champion to Tier 4 this year and you get their event buffs for 2 months or for a month and a half, however long they last for you, when it comes back around next year, you won't get those unless you pick them as a flex champion again. And the reason for this is we just want players to really focus on the champions that they're picking in each event. And yeah, we don't want to just be buffing every champion by the time we get to the end of 2 or 3 years of cycle.
I see we got the inventory sort of. We must have mentioned that last week. People are mentioning the new inventory sorting. All right.
I think we did. I think we mentioned. Oh, we can actually just scroll down here. Let's see.
Is it on the list?
In the build, inventory. Yes, it's mentioned there.
Perfect.
It's one word, so I don't know if you just read over that word and just said
I
inventory.
Probably. That sounds like I just verbatim off. Yeah.
Does sound right.
Okay. Next question. This one is from the Lurking Writer. The nerds have 6 colors, and yet Purple Wizard does not have an upgradable ability like the others, and neither Purple nor Pink Rogue have the item supported yet, and Orange Fighter has 2 abilities, both of which have item support. Can there be an update / a minor rework to make this more balanced? Make sure that you don't offer a dismantle for them when you do this, though.
Yes. Great question. Very serious, very articulate question about the Nerds Champion. I don't think I have a serious or articulate answer for you, though, because the Nerds Champion was, in all honesty, created kind of as a tongue-in-cheek kind of jokey champion. It's 3 rock candies riding along in a minecart, which is definitely the silliest thing we've ever done in the game. Well, actually, that may not be true, but definitely one of the silliest things we've ever done in the game. The fact that he has kind of, or they have kind of become a meta champion in some formations is somewhat disturbing. Somewhat, so I think it speaks to my skill as a designer of joke champions.
I mean, I'm hearing more joke champions. That's what I'm hearing. This is the takeaway from this.
Well, there are some really cool skins coming out soon that are certainly out of, not in-world skins, should we say.
These are nerd champion skins that turn them into gummy bears?
No, we're not doing that one yet.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, I doubt we're going to do any reworks or really any look at really look at nerds in any serious way, aside from potentially doing a skin. I did bring that up with Chris, and he said that we haven't actually looked into what would be required to do a skin for that, so we'd have to look into it and see if there's any sort of legal hurdles we'd have to jump through or go get, permission from whichever of the 2 major candy brands owns Nerds. But yeah, it'd be really cool to do a skin for them at some point.
Okay.
Probably no reworks.
Next question. This one is from Foolish Genius 89, asking, with Goliaths announced for the new player's handbook for 5e, why don't we have a Goliath champ in Idle Champions? I feel like all the player handbook species should be represented when it happens.
That's a great idea. We should definitely at some point have a Goliath champion in Idle Champions.
All right, and the last question left over from last week's show is from Max I. Kubert, asking, do you intend to review the tutorial? There should be a lot of updates to it, including the get the free familiar in the shop and get the free code by typing the code quest.
Yeah, so this is a good question. We actually have at at least one, maybe 2 points sort of looked at either partially or completely redesigning the tutorial. I know at one point I actually designed a completely new tutorial adventure that was more kind of structured in terms of what it was trying to teach you. But every time we've done that, we've kind of gone back and looked at the metrics for the tutorial, and the tutorial actually performs pretty well. Like, it's a little bit clunky, but it performs quite well in getting people through the tutorial adventure and into the sort of main content of the game. And so I think updates to the tutorial for that portion, probably not going to happen. I could see one new kind of update for the tutorial, which would point people at the guide quests, because guide quests are basically intended to be the self-directed tutorial after you get out of the main tutorial. They're intended to be a place where you can figure out how you get from, I just finished the main tutorial, to unlocking, all the features of the game. And there is a guide quest for using an example code for learning how to use codes, and there is a guide quest for unlocking the free familiar in the shop. So I think that the intention of those is to kind of be the advanced tutorial. There may be some surfacing issues that we need to sort of look at to make sure that they're actually popping up and being very apparent that they're there and that they are intended to be something to guide you through the game, but that's kind of the intention, more than just sort of replicating that in the old kind of, you must do this now before we let your game unpause kind of tutorials.
That's a question, all right. All right, and that is all the questions for today.
That's it, yeah.
That's all from last week. Moving on to the new questions from today. First question out of the gate was from Cabalex. I don't know. Is that how you say that?
Yeah.
Cabalex.
Caboelx one.
Yeah, okay. Asking, what are the chances that we could get the Pixie Leader, that frequent and delightful boss that shows up in so many adventures, as a playable champion?
We have seen this question before, and I think I actually answered it before. And my thought on it is that would be a very fun kind of joke champion to do. Speaking of kind of joke meme champions, the Pixie Leader has always been someone that we love to put into adventures because there's all sorts of ridiculous things that they can be riding. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it'd be really fun to have them as a champion at some point that, you get to choose what they ride based on the specialization. Or maybe when you use their ultimate, they ride a new creature, and there's different effects based on what they're riding. I don't know. There could be some fun things we do there. With that said, unlikely to happen anytime soon. We've got a plethora of other champions in the queue ahead of something like that. But yeah, it'd be pretty fun.
Okay. Next question. This is from Emote. Could we please have a way to unlock Flex Slot 2 and 3 at the start of the event? It really stresses me out that the event isn't complete and there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. So like the reason we put those on timers, so the second flex slot unlocks at the beginning of the second week of the event and the third flex slot unlocks at the beginning of the third week of the event, is so that people would have something to do later on in events. Because the new event structure, they're 21 days long, certainly longer than the 12-day events used to be, and so we didn't want people to kind of blast through them in 5 or 6 days and then have nothing left to do for the other 15 or 16 days of the event. And so that's why we purposefully put those on a timer. It was also, the other sort of reason was so that players would have a chance to kind of look at the flex champions and discuss within the community, like, hey, which one should I unlock first? Which one should I lock with this sort of set of champions that I already have? And thankfully, I do see those posts all the time on Reddit and questions in Discord of people being like, this is my current roster, who should I unlock next? Which I think we wouldn't necessarily have as much of if those slots unlocked like right away. So I'm hesitant to make any sort of permanent change to that. But with that said, we are planning on implementing a way to sort of start to experiment with various Event 2.0 features. And so that could potentially be one of those kind of event augments that kind of changes up how events run. We could have one that shows up one event that unlocks those slots earlier.
Yeah, definitely. So the time release of those is to make sure, well, as Justin said, not to blow through the content right away and then sort of be sitting on your hands waiting for the next thing to come out. But it is one of the thoughts that I've had, and we've been talking about a little bit, is like maybe there's some additional content that could go also time released at a later point, but something that gives a little bit more, something a little bit more involved, what I think would be more interesting than just sort of time gating the champion slots, which isn't super interesting by itself.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple of people in chat saying to allow it, but for maybe for time gate pieces. So. Which would be somewhat ironic that the time-gated feature would be skippable by using time-gate pieces, but that's just a little bit too meta for me.
Okay.
Garwar says, please, just no bonus quests like from Seasons. You didn't like having to do the same adventure 18 times in order to get a minor amount of progress?
We do a quest where you have to get to area 400, then 450, then 500. Yeah.
I feel like this is our "don't you guys have phones" moment.
Oh no.
Anyway, yeah, no bonus quests like in Seasons.
And that would only really work if like we had some other thing we were withholding from them that they really wanted. Like the "don't you guys have phones" was that hit so hard because people really wanted Diablo 4, and they're like, hey, we've got this other thing. You're like,
they eventually got Diablo 4. I don't know what people are complaining about. Anyway,
I heard it wasn't that good.
Next question here is from Shevek74, who asks, thank you for the inventory tabs. Is adding a sort possible in the near future? If not, could it at least remember where we left it?
Yeah. Certainly we can add a sort. I'm sort of thinking at the top of my head, what, I guess, is it the chests that would need sorting?
Chests, I think, are the main thing that would sort, yeah.
Everything else has kind of got a limited number of items that can kind of end up
and a
filling
bit of
in.
an inherent sort because it's sorted by ID, right? So like the potions are all grouped together.
And the potions sort of, I think you have the alternative way to use potions is probably a lot nicer than the inventory approach, but
Yeah.
I guess it would probably be for chests. Yeah, we can certainly think about that. And as far as kind of leave it where you remembered it, I guess you must have a lot of pages of chests, so leaving it at the spot. Yeah. Yep,
Yeah.
I can bring up a sort for something like that. I don't think there would be any issue with having it stay where you left it instead of resetting. I'll tag that. We can take a look at it. Next question. This is from Rough Rider 1995. How did Valentine end up true neutral when the content creator has gone on record saying that she is lawful evil?
I don't know. I really don't. I can look into that for you. When we get to a question that I asked to Dave, I can go find the design call and see what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Next question. This is from the Bard's Forge. Can we get a rework of Jamila? You don't have to offer a dismantle at not any point of the game is she any good. Yikes!
Ouch.
This is
Poor
this is
Jamila.
scalding.
Yeah. So I think it's unlikely that we'll do a rework of Jamila anytime soon. We did do a rework of her early on in year 2 or year 3.
Bars agrees. Wow.
Yeah. Not every champion is any good. Especially some of the core and evergreen, or not the core, but the evergreen. The core champions is what I mean. The initial kind of 12. It's unlikely that we'll do any kind of major reworks on them, simply because the 12 champions the core champions exist as an introduction to the game, and beyond that, we'd really like players to be using the event champions, because those are the ones that kind of are generally more interesting, and we don't really want to be using some of our really cool design ideas on the evergreen champions.
You're sort of hoarding them?
I'm hoarding them for event champions.
A rainy day, you're just not going to use them?
Because are cool.
They're not like potions in an RPG, right? You're not just going to get to the end of the game and still have them all?
Canalin says, does Jamila introduce new players to the idea that some champions are useless? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Probably no major rework of Jamila. I mean, we could do tweaks and stuff to her, but probably no major reworks, because I think we've already touched her at least once, if not twice. Don't say anything. Next question is from Fewer Pills, who asks, I don't have a question this time, so what did you guys do today so far?
Let's see. First I got up, and then I had a shower, and then I had some toast, and then no, I didn't do any of those things. Wait, no, I actually did a bunch of those things, but there isn't any toast.
You didn't have toast?
No, I don't usually have breakfast.
Oh. Well, it's like the most important the meal of the day, or something.
Yeah, I hear that.
Hey,
All right, you looking up the design?
What year is Valentine? Is that year 5 or 6?
The chat should know.
Content design.
All right, Justin's going to pull up that
I'm
design and
up.
answer that question.
You got to tell us more about what you did.
I mean, then we had a morning meeting.
Year 5.
That's always fun to do. I worked on some stuff that I'm not going to share with the chat at this point because it's coming up later.
Design call. Okay, I'm in the design call. Alignment is listed as true neutral.
Okay, that doesn't answer the question, other than that it's in the doc as that.
Well, this design call. So the way I design. So here we go. The way the way we design event champions, or the way to design content creator event champions, is the first thing we do is we have a call with them, and we have a list of questions, including what is the character's race and gender and class and age and alignment and affiliation, and
what do they look like?
What do they look like? What are their main attacks? What are that sort of thing? So it was listed in here, and the design call is true neutral. Maybe that changed since maybe that changed since we had that call. But that is the information that I have here.
Yeah.
So it could also be that someone just typoed that. But yeah.
That's a pretty big typo.
Listed as true neutral in my design document.
I mean, maybe it changed?
it could have changed.
Can you change your? I feel like you can change your alignment.
You can change your alignment. You can use feats, and some champions have specializations.
I meant
that
as a
change their
D&D
alignment.
character. You can change your alignment.
I know what you meant.
You're lawful right up until you're not lawful anymore.
That's true. You may still think you're lawful though. Like you can have like a lawful evil character can be following their own moral code, which makes
works?
them lawful.
I thought the lawful was they had to follow the actual laws.
I don't think they do. I think they just have to have their own sort of. They have to follow their own. They have to be consistently follow their own sort of interpretation of the laws. That's why it's kind of opposite from chaotic. Chaotic, they just do whatever, and they don't really have some consistency. Whereas lawful is more consistent. That's always been my feeling about it.
Okay.
But there may very well be a reason why.
It's probably one of those big debates, right?
There may be a reason.
Started.
There may be a reason. They didn't show any alignments in Baldur's Gate 3, right? So.
Yes.
Anywho, where were we? Yes, questions.
Next question. This is from Fizzban2000. It sounds like a name of a WoW NPC. Anyway, I have a supercharged unaffiliated core. Under the collections completed for Modron cores, it shows that my supercharged output is at 76%. Is it counting nodes that cannot be supercharged?
Yeah, it sounds like it's doing that.
I'm being told Fizzban is a Dragonlance character. Okay.
You're getting told.
I see that.
Yeah, I will highlight that one in yellow, which means we will take it to the dev team in our post Dev Insights meeting that we have every Friday morning. And yeah.
Okay.
Emote says it counts nodes that can't be supercharged to the total, but not to the current amount. I'm trying to figure out what that means, but I will copy that into the document and pass that on to the dev team.
Okay.
Okay, next question here. This one's from Dark Drake 0210, who asks, in the Legendary Forge, can you make it so then in the Legendary Forge, can you make so when we forge a legendary on a character to able to swap to next piece of their set instead of having to go out and click on the next piece? Please and thank you. Right. I think I understand what they're asking.
Yes, I think they would like to, from the inside of the dialogue, be able to switch to the next set of piece of gear on that particular champion without having to back out and then back in. I think that's probably something that we could accommodate. I can see that being something you might want to do. I think we could add some sort of back and forth on a bumper buttons onto that. I will tag it. Make that list even bigger. All right, here's a very serious question from the Lurking Writer asking, all good things, which was the Star Trek episode we referenced at the beginning of the show.
Season series finale,
That's
very
right.
good episode.
Was approximately 90 minutes. Yeah, it was a two-parter. So are you trying to imply that Dev Insights will be 30 minutes longer if we don't ask any questions?
There's only one way to find out, I guess.
It's probably too late for that.
Yeah. I guess next episode, if you don't ask any questions, if there is a next episode, next episode, if you don't ask any questions, maybe we'll just sit here kind of staring at you for 90 minutes. Maybe
Across the neutral zone?
Maybe we'll get a bubble. Maybe we'll go find some sort of temporal anomaly to collapse.
Could be a rich, full episode.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. This one much seriouser.
Not that much more serious.
Yes,
but yeah.
That was the joke. This is from Rough Rider 1995 asking, will the dev blog for the Bench Builder show up in 2025?
Probably not. No, because the feature will be long out by then. And,
early 2022, I think is the answer.
We wouldn't write a dev blog for something that's already been out for like 7 months.
Okie dokie. Next question. Probably more serious. This is from OG17 asking, why is Jaheira's 1-skin Harper pack priced the same as Nordrum's 2-skin classic pack when they're otherwise identical? Did we do that?
I guess we did.
And does the $6 actual value difference mean that the internal value of a skin, or that is the internal value of a skin, or are prices not set like that?
So I think for the first part of the question, I'm not sure. I'm not involved in pricing our DLC. So I'm not sure why we did that. I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm not sure why we did 2 skins in a pack, but I can ask about that. And the $6 actual value difference mean that's the internal value of a skin, probably something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably means that's what the guys have decided that a skin is worth, quote unquote. So yeah, I think that's probably.
Yeah, I wonder why we'd have the 2 skin pack.
I don't know. You know, I saw before, like when they went live and Chris was showing, like there was some sort of issue with the thing in the event dialogue, and he was saying like he did some sort of data fix or something because it was 2 skins. It didn't really click to me that like it was only actually showing 1 skin in the preview thing. So I thought it was I just misunderstood what he said, but there actually is 2 skins in that pack. Weird.
Okay. Next question. This one is from Super Collins.
Not just regular Collins.
How did you decide which events would be cut in the transition to Events 2.0?
That's a good question. So I think we answered this way back when we first kind of announced Events 2.0. We had a couple of dev insights where it was very heavily Events 2.0 related questions.
All right, so let's see if
and
you can
I'm
give a consistent
really
answer.
hoping that my answer is consistent here. So the way that we actually approached that is there were 2 different folks who took a look at the events and came forward with proposals on what to cut. Myself and our executive producer Chris Dupuis, and we kind of compared our notes after that. So I can only really speak to what events I chose to cut. Because I don't know that they were necessarily the final ones. So I can talk about the criteria I chose. And part of it was how interesting are the event adventures. So I wanted to try and keep event adventures that had really interesting things. That's why an event like Fleet's Wake survived, because it has the Kraken. And I found the Kraken was really interesting. We had a bunch of events that were kind of similar in sort of season. So we had a whole bunch of winter events. Like we had Simral, and then Midwinter, and then Winter Shield, and yeah, we had like I think 3 kind of winter related ones. So one of those was the easy one to drop. I think we had a similar thing around summer. We had like Midsummer, Agaron's Day. I know I wanted to keep Agaron's Day because I really love all of the minx, or who is it? Some of the champions in that adventure are struggling to pronounce Agaron's Day. It's like Egg Heron's Day. So I really enjoyed that joke, so I wanted to keep that. It was really just kind of, which events I kind of thought were more cool. There wasn't really a like structure of like, you know, the players are responding to this event in this way or this event in that way. It was really just intuition for myself.
I like to believe that we had a draft and the events that were picked last got cut.
That would have been a cool way to do it, but yeah, there was no democracy in this. It was pure just.
A draft isn't democracy, isn't it? Just back and forth. You go back until whoever's left.
It's a type of democracy. I guess it's yeah. I mean.
I always thought just determine who was good at kickball or not.
Yeah, sorry. I was thinking more like when you have like a.
Go on.
When you have like one of those things where it's got there's competitions and like you vote on who's going to win one, and then you go into the next round, and what's that called? Like a bracket? Maybe like a voted upon bracket.
Sort of strange. I think you're making it up. This is just.
You know the thing.
No.
Yeah.
I don't.
Anyway, let's move on to the next question.
Okay.
What a disaster. No wonder we're getting canceled.
That's. Don't read the code. Next question. This is from Cal Gaden. Now that Jaheira has a High Harper skin, can we get a beloved Ranger skin for Minsk when he's where he is just a statue? Oh,
that's really funny. Yeah.
Benevolent oligarchy.
That's a very funny question.
You're not going to answer it.
I don't know. I don't come up with the skins. I assume if Dupuy is watching this, he will take a note of that, and we will have some sort of stone mink skin before.
I mean, it'd be easy to animate at least.
We
right.
did do a petrified skin for Binwin years ago. That's true, Mars. We did.
No, did he also not animate? I mean,
No, he animated.
well, how is it?
It's lightly petrified. The skin is all petrified, but it's still got enough. I don't know. Anyway,
okay.
it is time for someone was saying this is the weirdest lead-in to a giveaway ever, but it is actually time for the giveaway.
Yep.
And the way this works, if you haven't been in our chat before, and I'm scrolling up here and don't see a lot of people who haven't been here before, but there's one. So if this is your first time here, it's time for our stream famous 42 gold chest giveaway. The way it works is there will very, very shortly be, if there is not already, I'm not reading chat, there will be a keyword in chat. All you have to do is copy, paste that back into chat, and you'll be entered for a shot to win 42 chests of your choice. So if you win, you get to pick the type of chest, and our lovely support team will add those chests to your account. It can be any type of chest in the game. Did you know that? Any type of chest, except for Gloria Bahamut chests.
Oh.
So it could be like gold chests. You could take Modron component chests. Those are the ones that I often suggest because they're super duper rare. What are some other types of chests?
It could be a blonde chest, or a one-line chest. It could be an off-color chest. It might be a cruel chest. No? It might be a mother-in-law chest.
Jokes, yes.
Yes.
True one.
Could be a dad chest.
Got it. Types of jokes. Very good. I feel like it's sometimes the winner of this is whoever is has less stream delay going on, because some of them get pretty obvious.
So this
pretty
is
quickly.
listed here. As here's we've got could have been a flatulence chest.
Oh yeah, fart jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's called
they're being very formal about it here.
Flatulent humor. I see
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Thank you, Wikipedia, for not being funny.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okey
Let's
dokey.
continue on
Yep.
to.
Next question from Tabarja. Are there any plans to fix Healing's scaling?
Sorry. I'm like, healing. We have a champion named Healing who has bad scaling. Yeah, so I think I don't know if I mentioned this on a previous episode. Maybe I did. But one of the things on my big list of things that I would like to address in the post-events 2.0 world is tanking and healing. It started out in the game not very good. We did like a rework that did not scale very well beyond beyond about area 400 or 500, and so we've gotten to the point where it's totally out of whack again. And I would like to take a third stab at that one, taking and healing 3.0, if you will. But with that said, it's pretty far down the list, and there are some other kind of band-aid things we've been trying out in the meantime. Astute players may notice that when new tanking champions come out and they have their sort of classic share 25% health with the formation, they also have usually on that and increase healing done on those champions by 25% as well. So that's one thing we're trying to kind of scale it a little bit better alongside health, but I think truly fixing it would require a more major revision or revisit to the tanking and healing and monster mechanics when they approach the formation. So at some point, I would like to get to that. It is very far down the list in terms of priorities, though, unfortunately.
Okay.
I'm gonna highlight this one for you and ask this one for you.
All right.
So Lediath asks, last week I asked why there are 2 buttons to get to the events page. Now we have 5 buttons to get to the events page. Are you guys considering combining some of these? Did we add, where did we add, like I know we added one to the campaign map.
Wait, 5 buttons?
Where did we add 2 more?
I know, I mean, other than the campaign map, someone's going to have to enlighten us as to where the other 2 were added.
Yeah. Clicking the event buffs now takes you to the event UI. So that's 4.
Okay.
Where's the last one? Sounds like we're about to get 8. Yes, I feel like we need to add more.
The event boon buff hover.
That sounds like the same one as Gar.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, it also has another button inside the... so there's clicking on the event buffs takes you there, and then the hover that comes up, there's a button in there to take you there.
Yeah, I didn't know we'd added those additional links.
No, okay, yeah. So we added, I remember that was part of Chris's kind of tweaks. We added more ways to get to the boons to figure out what they were.
All roads lead to the event page.
All roads lead to the event boon page so that people can understand what those are.
This might be an overcorrection.
Yeah, I don't know that we're planning on redo. So, I mean, one of the things about the event dialogue is it is at this point a pretty primary dialogue for the game, right? It's like the events run, 3/4 to 3/5 of the time that the game is running. So we want players to get there pretty naturally without us having to necessarily pop up a tutorial every time they load the game that says, click here to see the current event progress. Though I guess we do that at some point.
We just open the game to the event page.
We could do that too. We do that in Bushwhacker too.
That's true.
But
it's not full screen though.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think there's really any downside to having more ways of getting there. That's kind of my answer to the question. So no, I'm not really considering combining some of those.
I don't know how we would combine them.
The more
They're
ways,
all in different spots.
Yeah, the more ways people can stumble upon the. Oh my gosh! I'm just deleting the question instead of crossing it out. The more ways that people can get to the events dialogue, the better, in my mind.
All right, next question. This one is from Loopy79. We were told recently that healing pigments will also affect shielding, but how exactly? With healing pigments affect both shielding amounts granted per instance as well as the max shielding amount, which is usually tied to the multiplier of the champ hit points. Or is this just the shielding granted, making it faster to reach max, but not increasing the total shield cap? I thought it was the cap.
No, so the healing pigments, my understanding of the adjustment made to the healing pigments was that they affect just the shielding amount. I don't think they affect the cap in any way. I'm actually not 100% sure that cap exists on everything.
You mean shielded amount granted, not shielded amount max?
Yes.
They're asking about both.
Yes,
yeah,
it increases the shielding amount granted per use of the ability or use of whatever ability. I don't think it affects the max. Yeah, I'd have to dig a little bit more into it. It's been a while since I've looked at the exact mechanics of the temporary health stuff, and so I don't think it would have affected the max without somebody coming to me and being like, do you want this to affect the max as well? So I think it just affects the amount granted. So just like, a heal that would have healed for 10 with a healing pigment heals for 20. And in this case, a shield that would have shielded for 10 just shields for 20. But I don't think it affects the max.
Okay. Next question. This is from Loopy79 as well. Can we get either a slight rework or possibly a feat causing Penelope to always spawn one of her insect clouds at the furthest right location of the screen? Currently, bosses almost always die before reaching the clouds, thus failing to activate the 2.5% increase in her story time stacks. 2.5 is already such a tiny amount, especially since it only applies to bosses and not regular enemies. It just feels really awful when we can't even activate it at all because things die too quickly.
Yeah, I will make a note of this one. I know in the original, or in the rework design for Penelope, we wanted to have the clouds spawn sort of equally throughout so if this is kind of the area where the enemies march towards the formation, we wanted to have the clouds spawn sort of in the first third, the first third, the second third, and the third third.
Forced would be a quadrant, not a third.
And the forced third. So we wanted to have them kind of spread out equally. I don't know if that made it in. It's possible that did not make it in which case we will try and make that in, which should cause one to spawn at least fairly close to where the enemies spawn in. If it is already doing that, I don't know about making one spawn, the furthest right. Maybe. I'll have to chat with the dev team about exactly what's going on. Well, that is a very purple
I
that
see.
you've
It's
highlighted.
way
that
too
question.
purple.
So yeah, I'll check in with the dev team on that and see if that is implemented as designed. Next question here is from Letty. It looks like we got a whole bunch of Dave questions in a row.
No.
They ask, any updates on a feat lock system or universal feat opt-out for saved formations?
Yeah, we haven't talked about this in a little while. This came up, I guess, obviously it came up around the time that feature came out, and has come up periodically since then. And that is that there isn't really there's an option to not save feats with formations, but I think you have to make sure that you check that when you're saving a new formation. And I guess the question here is to have it so that you can opt out from doing that at all and not have to check that. I know I think at the time we mentioned that might be something that we'd put in with a setting. I know the whole setup of saving the feats with the formations was something that we wanted to revisit, just because it didn't seem to be sort of covering the bases that players really wanted that, how that really was would be helpful to work. And it's one of those things that we haven't had a chance to get back to on. So I guess the question of are there any updates on that, the answer is no. We haven't had a chance to really focus any thought on that since the last time it was mentioned. But we should.
Okay.
At some point.
Next
we will
question
get to it
here.
at some point.
Next question here is from Onyx Squared, who says, you can save various pipe settings in a Modron core. However, it is not obvious which pipe layout you are using unless it's drastically different from the others. Can you have the saved name for the pipe layout you have active on the pipe layout manager? Thank you.
Yeah, that sounds like a reasonable request.
Straightforward and easy, yeah.
I mean, it sounds straightforward and easy. Watch finding a place to put the tag.
Yeah, modifying UI is always a little bit fun, but yeah, it sounds doable.
Yep, I'll tag that.
Peter will be like, the Modron core system, we haven't touched that in years. We don't have a dev who knows how that works anymore.
You know, actually, Jarrett wrote that saving system. So,
hey?
yeah.
All right, well, he should know how it works then.
Hopefully he can look over it and he can be like, who wrote this?
Mm-hmm.
And be like, you did.
The next question is from Loopy79, who asks, there seems to be a real backlog of small, seemingly easy-to-fix issues that have been piling up, i.e. Narak and Zorbu both missing some ability upgrades that were mistakenly left out of their rework, Karlach's stat array being incorrect compared to her baseline stats in BG3, Vinner's crit feats not affecting crit chance for ultimate, etc. Is there any reason these things are so far down the priority list, making it seem like they're being ignored? And can we please get some dev time assigned to finally knock these all out?
Yeah, so I mean, this is a difficult, or it's a bit of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Difficult isn't necessarily the right word. We have a really long list of minor, like that is accurate, that there is a real backlog of small and seemingly easy to fix issues. Mm-hmm. It's on one of those lists. We have several lists actually. I mean, there's the bug list.
The second or third list.
The dev insight list. The one that the moment that I have refrained from repeating at the beginning of of each episode because of how long that list actually got. And it's something that we are hoping to get time to work through, and actually some of them are getting worked through. The problem is everything has to be prioritized, and sort of it's prioritized by sort of what has the most impact to the most players. And so some of these things end up at the bottom of the list and end up getting other things inserted above them, simply because the things that have come up that get inserted above them are things that are going to have a larger impact on the player base on the whole. And so that's kind of why that continues to happen. And we can, like, you think about it, like as we go through this, like every week we end up adding, 5 or 6 items to the list. And as that happens, that means that sort of they have to be prioritized in some order. And sometimes they're knocked off as like, oh, that's really easy to do. So if someone has an extra 20 minutes, they can do that. But often they're the kind of thing that has to have, a few hours set aside. And that means that they get put down the list, and whatever comes up first gets looked at. And then sometimes we prioritize features like the the bench builder, the character search, which Jared's been focusing on for the last 2.5 weeks. Mm-hmm. And it's either a question of is he banging through a bunch of sort of low-hanging fruit items, or looking at sort of a major feature that's sort of a quality of life improvement for everybody. So it's kind of a balance that we have to do, and so hopefully we'll find some time to get through those after the, or through some of them after the bench builder, the champion search is out. But it's always a case of balancing sort of what we have time for, what makes the most impact to the most number of people, And yeah, you sound like you have something to add to that.
No, I think you said it pretty well, right? It's
Okay.
like about the feature that'll impact, a couple hundred people versus the features that'll impact thousands of people, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. This one is from Joranathus. Have you ever considered adding random one-day-only mini-events with rewards to promote playing daily?
This sounds a lot like login rewards, but I think it's mini events with rewards. I don't think we've ever considered adding anything more complex than just like daily login bonus, like the celebration rewards. I think a one-day only mini event that had like some sort of content in it would probably be just not worth the effort, the design effort and art and implementation effort that would take. But we have the celebration rewards 4 times a year roughly. And obviously with seasons we had like daily quests and stuff like that. Some of that stuff could potentially come back eventually in events or in other places. Emergences have a daily quest as well. So we've definitely played around with that kind of thing before.
Yeah. Okay. This question. This is from Cyclops asking, why are there 3 yellow, gold, orange potions? And why not have significantly different colors? There are small details that are different, but the visual cues could be much more differentiated if speed was maybe green and damage was red or something similar.
Yeah, so I think we looked this up actually the other day because someone brought it up, and we actually pulled out the player's handbook, which is where we actually got the descriptions of the potions from. I don't know that they speak to colors. I think some of them do speak to colors, but for the most part they speak to sort of the contents of the potions. And I don't quite remember if it was.
Yeah, I mean, I thought
because
it was lore based, that the colors that were set were all from descriptions of the potions from whether it was the player's handbook or from other official D&D source material. I know that sort of the insides of them were different, but of course at the size that we display them, it's difficult to tell that there's like bits of fingernail and other stuff in like some of them. I remember them being kind of disgusting actually. Yeah, I mean, I think that was the color came from that. I don't think the shape was necessarily described, and I think that was one of the potential options that, I mean, it's always obviously came up way late from a sort of the potions were all set and had been out for several years before this was something we even considered, that potentially the shapes could have been different. I know Garwar's question there was why are they facing the wrong direction?
That's literally the next question here is from the Lurking Writer.
Yeah, that's a funny one.
I can tell you why that is.
I mean, I think Adam just changed, like he first forgot which direction he'd done them.
Artists are fickle beings.
Yes, there's a way to describe it. Yeah. Yes, I liked this before, but I've changed it for the new one, but it's different. Well, I changed it, so okay.
I didn't like the way it looked when it was slanted that way, so I just horizontally flipped it.
Yeah.
And now it looks good. And now we're going to get a question about that every single year for 7+ years.
Hopefully the potion or hopefully the inventory tabs help with the being able to single out the potions better, but we're just using them from the potion management screen. At least they're labeled there better.
Yeah. I mean, this has come up a couple times in the last few weeks, so I do wonder if we can think about other ways to kind of just make the icons themselves stand out or do something. Because I know it came up initially as like a colorblind issue, right? And so, and that totally makes sense. Even if you're not colorblind.
They all do have mouse overs, which I think was sort of how it was described as. But I mean, this also sort of falls into the category if we sort of look at kind of the previous question about how do we choose what things to things to change, and when there's something that's, yes, we could redo the art for all of the potions, but if it's something you can easily see with the mouse over, then maybe that time is better spent on a different feature.
New skins, new familiars, etc.
So when given those choices, you can see that's one of those, that likely is one of those things that would be put on the bottom of the list and would often keep getting things bumped in front of it. Unfortunately. Next question. This one is from Emote, asking, BBEG got given a name in one of the YouTube episodes as Bartholomew Beelzebub Elskick Grubble. I don't know. I hope I'm saying that right.
There's no
Group.
L in the
Group.
last one.
My bad. Bartholomew Beelzebub Ezekiel Grubble.
I just highlighted this question to watch you try and pronounce these names. This is the main reason I did it.
Could this be added to his bio somewhere?
Probably.
And here I thought this was for something completely different.
Yeah, right. Me too. Yeah, I think it probably could be at some point.
Ezekiel. Ezekiel is what they're saying. Ezekiel.
Easy kill.
Easy kill.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's that easy to kill.
So today we learned Justin is cruel to David. That is true. I can't believe it took you 124 episodes to learn that. I often just highlight questions based on who asked them.
Yeah, just so you can see we attempt to.
But this is a good opportunity just to point out, or just to highlight that we are looking at reworking the champion dialogue and giving ourselves more, not just like more space for like things like the bio, but also like a place to put a little content creator bio as well as the champion bio, just so we can kind of separate those out. So there's this could be one of those things that when we kind of complete that that rework, that there'd be good space for this kind of thing to go. It also might just be spoilers.
An Israelite priest. I see. Okay. This is the chat is saying.
Okay, and now Dave is going to spend the rest of the afternoon researching Ezekiel.
Ezekiel. All right. Next question here. This one is from a name that I can pronounce. It is from Ye Olde Dice Goblin. Can we get a rework of Blueshie to make her ultimate kill can we get a rework on Blueshie to make her ultimate kill her similarly to Spurt? It is currently hard to keep her dead.
So so you said it was easier to pronounce, but let's have a poll in chat. When you spell it old, like OLDE, do you pronounce the E?
I do. It's like
should you pronounce the E? Ye oldie shoppy?
Yeah. You don't pronounce the extra E on the shoppy though.
That
one is silent.
Looks like chat has your back here, at least the first couple.
Yeah. Only if ye is in front of it.
Oh,
see?
no, okay, no. Old. You only pronounce the E for comic effect.
That
would require you to be funny.
Whoa.
Anyway, what was the question again here?
Can we get a rework of Blueshie?
So they want Blueshie's ultimate to kill her dead. I have to remember exactly what Blueshie's ultimate does already in order to do that. But it could be something. This may very well be something that that we look at doing in like a rework for Blueshie, because I know that if we were to do a rework of Blueshie, it's a little bit harder because they're an evergreen character. But a rework of Blueshie could potentially look at that, because I know our initial sort of design intention with Blueshie is you put her at the front, and then all the monsters come, they kill her, and then you get a more powerful tank. And so she's intended to be a little bit of a glass not even a glass cannon, a glass tank until she's killed. But that may actually be harder to trigger in most cases, unless you're right at your wall. So I don't know. Hard to say whether we would do something here if we ever got around to doing a rework.
All right. Apparently we're renaming the show to Developer Insults.
Well, first it was going to be Developer Insights with the different spelling of insight. And yeah, Developer Insults. Maybe this is why we get canceled.
No, could be.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. This is from Rough Rider 1995. Where does the alchemy shop stand on the roadmap or timeline, or what is being done to alleviate bounty contract opening?
Yeah, this is a good question. So similar to kind of Dave's answer to a previous question about sort of small things not getting done and bigger things kind of getting prioritized ahead of them. The alchemy shop is definitely something that is being prioritized or will be prioritized ahead of a lot of those kind of really small kind of smaller fixes. It is probably like 7 second or third on the list after Champion Search in terms of getting it done. And I think it'll be a little bit of a faster project than the first thing on that list. So it very well may leapfrog that up to first place. So it's pretty high on the list. It's closer than a lot of other things that we've been talking about.
Okie dokie, let's see. We've got time for one, potentially two more questions.
My answer to this one's really long, so let's not do that one. And yeah, let's just do one more.
Okay, this one is from the Solar Bear. How is the 3 cats in a trench coat skin for Human coming along?
It's coming along great, yeah.
It's actually really difficult to get the cats to stand up. Like you cannot they're really belligerent.
Yeah, yeah. 3 tabaxi in a trench coat, that might be more doable. Yeah.
All right, you want to call it there?
I think so. I think that is it.
All right, perfect.
So if we didn't get to your question this week, don't worry, you will have another opportunity. We were just joking all episode about being canceled. This isn't our last episode. We will be live at this same time next week, hopefully, or else the conspiracy theorists will start. Before we sign off, though, we'd like to thank our tireless mods. I think it was just the usual this week. It was Mars and Gabe, no special guest mods. They're the folks who copy your questions into our questions doc and make things awesome in chat. So thanks to both of you.
And of course, thanks to all of you for hanging out, watching the stream, asking such great questions, and for enjoying the game. Because without you, no one here would get to do what we do.
And we like what we do.
All right. That's it. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.
Bye.
That looks like the right button.
Is that the right button?
Yeah.
That was the right button.
Oh, well, I'm currently writing a book about drinking beer.
Really?
Yep. I'm on my 4th draft.
Oh, I get it. Hilarious.
Draft is, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
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 Should have gone with the one about the elephant.